an investment firm that runs the Celtics now that didn't want anything to do with a max deal for Maxey, which still would have been a trade we lost. And we didn't even get him. We get a 99-year-old guy that's been out for the year twice. He goes out for the year. That means you got nothing for a top 10 NBA player. This is the worst trade in New England sports history. We are being laughed at by the country right now. By the country. It's a joke.
People are pissed, folks. I don't know how else to explain it. Jaylen Brown traded yesterday to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, a couple of first-round picks, some other stuff thrown in there, and we've gotten plenty of calls. We're going to get to more on the other side, but every single call we've gotten to today has said exactly that. This is the worst trade in the history of Boston sports, or something along those lines. Yeah. Which brings up the question, what is the worst trade in the history of Boston sports? Because this is up there, folks. It's going to be, I think, when we look back in 3, 4, 5 years, very easy for this to be a top 3 to 5 worst trade. I just don't know if it's number 1.
Yes, because generally recency bias plays into whenever a player that a lot of people like, or even some people like. If you were a fan of a guy who was sent out of town, say this is the worst trade in the world, in the history of sports, and that is a recency bias thing and an emotional thing. But this is a different category where this universally could be considered one of the worst trades in the history of the city. I think it is maybe number 2 at this point.
All right, let me get a couple out of the way. Babe Ruth was a horrible trade. Sure. They took 20. It was horrible. And I know it's old, but I'm just going to put it up there. The year in 1986, they traded Jeff Bagwell for Larry Anderson. Jeff Bagwell went on to become
that was the biggest horse and pony trade of all time.
Yeah, all right. So, like, you know, there's others that are out there. The Patriots had the number 1 overall pick once. They traded it to trade back. The 49ers took Jerry Rice. So, I mean, you know, there's been some bad ones. I think Cam Neely was involved in one that turned into Cam Neely, which worked out for them in the long run. There's been bad ones, but I think we should keep it to just at least the last 25 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Joe Thornton trade was horrific. The Bruins moved on from Joe Thornton. They did get Marco Sturm and some other pieces. But as I mentioned before, it allowed Patrice Bergeron to be the face of the franchise, and that worked out, right? He's now a Hall of Famer. But let's keep it to simple, guys. Rafael Devers trade a year ago, it was bad because of what they did with it.
Okay.
But there was no worse trade than the Mookie Betts.
Thank you.
That is it. That is it, Joe. I was waiting for that because that is hands down the worst trade in the history of this city. The guy was homegrown, first of all, supposed to be.
You invented him.
You
made him from nothing.
You invented him from, you turned him from a bowler into a baseball player.
Sure.
And he was supposed to be the face and the hope of this city for decades, for generations. We were supposed to, or they were, not we, but whatever, supposed to win 20 World Series with him. Won one. He was the AL MVP. You did not get better than this, and you had him. You had the guy, and you just traded him away. Like, thinking about it, you still can't believe it. Like, it is still mind-blowing. So that is, hands down, the worst trade in the history of the city was Mookie Betts.
In November
still not over it.
of 2018, after that season, he wins MVP, they win the World Series. There was serious conversations about whether or not he would become the greatest player in the history of the Red Sox.
Yes.
It's David Ortiz and Ted Williams. That's the conversation. But at that point, we were having conversations about whether or not he could elevate and surpass those two guys. He's now played for the Dodgers longer. He's won 2 World Series there. You got nothing. Alex Verdugo was the biggest waste of space in the history of this city and that team. Oh my God, I hate that guy. Jeter Downs, useless. Connor Wong, not bad. You know who was on the table the year before when Dave Dombrowski refused to trade Mookie Betts because he knew it was a dumb idea? Will Smith. That guy's a multi-time All-Star. He's one of the best catchers in the game. But you got the bad one. It's if not only for the fact that you traded Mookie Betts, you traded the best player in baseball at that time. I firmly believe it. I thought he was better than Mike Trout. I thought he was the best player in baseball. You traded him. That's bad enough, but you got nothing. You got a crybaby who used to show up late. You got a guy named after your biggest rival. And
who then went there.
Connor frickin' Wong. Awful trade. It's the worst trade of all time. And the Rafael Devers trade is terrible. It's number 2 for me.
Okay.
But it's nowhere close because at least they got good pieces.
Yeah.
They went and traded, but that's separate. If they would have kept Kyle Harrison and the big James Tibbs, maybe not too bad of a trade. The fact that they traded the other, that's what makes it terrible. The Mookie Betts trade itself, awful.
Well, I would say the Rafael Devers trade was better than the Jaylen Brown trade.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Devers trade, I have no...
That's where I take the secondary trades and loop those.
Okay.
I only say it because, like, yes, it was a dump, right? Well, like, you just dumped for Paul George.
Yeah.
Who's one of the biggest losers of all time. Like, at least the Red Sox could have got a better return if they didn't want to put all the money in there.
Yeah.
So, like, in a way, I still think that was better than the Jaylen Brown trade.
Yeah.
Just getting back to the Mookie Betts trade, it was franchise altering.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it changed
Franchise
everything.
altering.
Yeah, no.
It changed everything.
Yeah.
They got the coach, fired a manager. They had a bad year. They brought him back. They went out and were motivated to go get Kyle Schwarber.
Alienated other players who eventually left.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
So it was just so franchise altering. Going back a little bit further, though, the John Lester trade was really bad.
Oh, yes, that was bad.
That was you thinking you were the smartest people in the world.
Yeah,
and it came
Yoenis
back to
Cespedes was a good player at the time and all that, but come on.
Never panned out.
John Lester went on to win, World Series elsewhere.
Yeah, I like to, when we look at these trades, I like to look at the end result in totality, because some of the guys you get, you eventually trade for other stuff. Like the John Lester trade, you essentially traded John Lester for Rick Porcello, because you ended up trading Yoenis Cespedes for Porcello. Not the worst thing in the world. He won a Cy Young for you. John Lester never did that. So he had a great year. He won a World Series. The thing about the Jaylen Brown trade is that those 2 first-round picks can become something where the Rafael Devers trade, it's over.
Yeah.
It's done with.
It's a dead end.
You got Jordan Hicks, who you DFA'd because he was that bad. You got Kyle Harrison, who you then traded for Caleb Durbin. He's now in the NL Cy Young race. Caleb Durbin's a fine player.
Could be an all-star.
He's not Rafael Devers.
Well.
James Tibbs, you then traded for Dustin May, one of the worst starting pitchers in the history of the franchise, who then went elsewhere and is now having a good year. Every single branch on the tree of this trade is a disaster. That's why I have it above the Brown trade. If they do nothing with those first-round picks, I agree, because he's a better player than Rafael Devers ever was, but not yet, because that trade's over, and it was terrible.
And I'll just say this, like, I brought up Babe Ruth. They didn't win for how long?
86 years. Joe.
When they got rid of Mookie Betts, what's happened since?
7 years.
Okay,
8 years.
So just bring this back to Jaylen Brown.
The curse of Mookard.
Sure, like whatever it is, when you move on from generational pieces, or generally you suck. It's just what happens, and when Ray Bork got traded, it took a really long time for the Bees to become relevant again. You can't trade great players unless they ask for it to be traded.
Right.
Ray Bork was asked to be traded, right? Robert Parrish this week was talking about that, how, they never traded McHale and Parrish, who were traded for, by the way.
Right.
But they acquired it. It's just, the more I look at it, and you look at bad trades, like, I guess we don't really know yet on the Jaylen Brown front. Like, maybe they have a good season. Maybe they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But really, it's about what do they do with that money after with Paul George, and what do those draft picks become? We don't know yet. But when you trade great players, generally it never works out.
Well, that's why I don't think Devers
Defend Caleb Durbin.
So I just looked it up, and I thought I would get you on something, but Rafael Devers has better numbers across the board than Caleb Durbin this year.
Because we don't only play 1 month sprints. It's a 6-month season.
Okay, yes, exactly. So maybe Caleb Durbin will surpass Rafael Devers by the end of the season. I think on the team, Caleb Durbin is more valuable than
Maybe
Rafael
I'm going to make
Devers
$1 million.
I don't think Rafael Devers is a generational piece of the Red Sox. I don't think in the future, just his attitude alone, he had to go. Mookie's attitude, perfect. The guy was perfect. And the more you look into it, the more you think about it, and you really look back at what happened, it's just devastating, and more devastating than Jaylen Brown. And this just happened yesterday, so it's very fresh. But I think as time goes on, we will see the aftermath of that trade in a greater picture. But the Rafael Devers trade does nothing for me in terms of regrets or anything. It had to happen. That's actually a great trade. I still will say the Red Sox won that trade still. Same. Because you think about how bad it had gotten, and there was no alternative.
Why did it get bad?
Well, there are many reasons why. And I don't think Devers was free of blame of it. I don't think he was free
agree.
from blame.
It's full-on dysfunction from top to bottom. It's the same thing with Jaylen Brown. That's dysfunction. You decided that you were going to try to, and you have to know the player. You have to know your relationship with him.
Yeah.
And they decided, let's make a move for Giannis. For whatever reason, the Giannis trade didn't go down. We've heard reports that it's because they didn't want to pay the money. Whatever. It's dysfunction from top to bottom. That's why I think the Mookie Betts trade is worse, because it wasn't. It was just you making.
Dysfunction.
It was just you making the dumbest decision
It
possible.
was. It's insane because he was perfect here. Perfect. There was
Still
no.
is perfect.
There
Love
was
him to
no communication. There was a problem. There was nothing like.
Remember when you couldn't find a second baseman for 6 years? And then remember when he just started playing second base at a Gold Glove level for the Dodgers? Remember how he's their shortstop now?
Made the final out in the World
How
Series.
freaking ridiculous
He
is
just
that?
suddenly.
He's perfect.
He's so great that he just morphed into a shortstop.
And he is struggling. Don't get me wrong.
He's had a bad couple
But guess what?
Still won the World Series.
They still want him, and they're not looking to trade him or get out of the
Correct.
money.
He's
or
perfect.
anything like
Because
that.
he's perfect.
Yes.
And you know, just to add to it, right? You know, the Giants aren't doing well with Rafael Devers.
No.
The 76ers, although they look good and could get LeBron James or whatever it looks good on paper. They're still the 76ers.
They still are.
And you know,
Loser.
I wonder what's going to happen with the Celtics.
Yeah.
You still have Jason Tatum. Maybe he's been the golden goose. Maybe he's the guy who really can get them back there. And maybe this will help him win his MVP and all those accolades he's been looking for. I just feel in the end it doesn't work out for your team. And, you know, we can get into it because I know I still want to hear, we got to hear from more people. But like in the end, Jaylen and Jason Tatum, were they a success?
Yes, they won a finals together.
They were a success.
In the grand scheme of things,
Yes.
Did
absolutely.
they underachieve?
Yes.
And
yes,
the
because they
only
should have won more.
pushback I'll give you, it's the same pushback I'll give with the Bruins. 8 different winners in 8 straight seasons, right? In the last 10 years, the only team to win twice is the Golden State Warriors, who are a generational team, right?
Right.
Well, if you were one of the 8, doesn't that make you successful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a success in the long run, but they still underachieved. I don't think that's crazy to say.
No.
I
Don't
do-
tell Greeny that from Barstool.
I know. Well, next time we have him on, I've got beef with Greeny, but that's fine. We
have
do
to
want to
get
hear
him
from
on.
you guys. We're going to get to you soon, 617-582-CHAT. I leave you with this before we take our break. Mookie Betts,
Yes.
MVP, 4-time World Series champion, 8-time All-Star, 6-time Gold Glove, 7-time Silver Slugger, a batting title.
Okay, you're making me sick.
That is one of the 15 best players in the history of Major League Baseball.
Wish
That
we had
resume you can
guys like
put up
that.
against pretty much anybody, and you decided that you didn't want him.
Brutal.
Worst
That's
trade
brutal.
in the history of Boston
Let
sports.
us know what you think.
Let us know about. You can cry about the Mookie Betts trade all you want to. We can do that because
do
I'm
that.
willing to do that till the day I die.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. We will hear from you after the break. Boston's end of the chat. We'll see you in a bit.
That was pain.
That was tough. That was tough.
We
than
like
I
torture
expected.
ourselves on this show. It's
Yeah, I
all we
know.
do.
Massive.
That.